Evening. Before we begin, Madam President, if I may address the audience tonight. So Hampshire Elementary School parents, thank you very much for your flexibility. When we schedule school board meetings, clearly we should assume that some of our teams are going to make it to the super sectionals. So we do very much appreciate your flexibility. I did offer your principal that if tonight was not convenient for you, that we would have just rescheduled you for a subsequent meeting. But thank you again for your flexibility tonight. We're glad you're here. Glad to have an opportunity to celebrate with your students and have them lead us in our pledge. So, Madam President, I just wanted a moment to welcome everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of the Community Unit School District Board of Education on Wednesday, March 15th, 2017. And Mr. Alessio, can you please call the roll?
Alessio, present. Burley.
Present.
Fiorentino.
Present.
Garcia.
Present.
Lopez. Miller.
Present.
Stevens.
Okay. Mr. Hyde, if you want to introduce our pledge leaders.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the community and staff, thank you very much again for being here this evening. It is my absolute pleasure. I love your top tonight. Very nice. Very Hampshire-esque. Love the purple. Go Whips. I'd like to introduce Principal Nancy Regal, who is here this evening with her students from Hampshire Elementary School, who will lead us in their pledge.
And parents, community, please feel free to roam around the room to take pictures. Just please don't block someone else from taking pictures.
All right. Good evening, members of the board, members of the District 300 community. I'm proud to have to represent Hampshire Elementary Schools, some fabulous members of our safety patrol. These are fifth grade students, and they are just a portion of our safety patrol students who focus on keeping our students safe at arrival and dismissal every day. They assist students as they enter and exit the building from the buses, from our Kiss and Go line, and helping them cross the street safely and walk past our bus lane every morning and after school. They're very responsible, they're very respectful, and above all, they're comfortable helping their peers focus on being safe as they enter and exit our building every day. So I am proud to introduce Taylor Engel, Taylor Golden, Cecilia Rose Rodriguez, Elena Diekman, Ronald Hosick, Taven Grigsby, and Joran Calvin. And if everyone would like to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think they're tall enough we can go this way. You guys can just come this way. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming all the way out here. At least it'll still be sunny when you head home. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming so far. Thank you for coming. Being here tonight. Thanks for coming.
Okay, I had one change on the agenda. Item number 11.9 from consent will now become 12. Well, we got a numbering wrong here. No, we have 12.1. No, it's going to become 12.20. And the second 12.17 that's on the agenda is 12.19. So, yeah, I'm just checking here, so electronically. So anyone who has a paper copy now matches the electronic, and it's now 12:20. Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, Stevens. Aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Burley.
Aye.
Garcia. Aye. Lopez. Miller.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Hyde.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the community, and staff, at this time, I do have some sad news to share, and I'll ask that we that we take a moment of silence to remember Robert Buck Sayre. Mr. Robert Buck Sayre passed away on Monday, February 9th, 2017. He was a retiree of District 300 back in 1997, having served our students and community for over 34 years. He is survived by his wife, Bonnie, who is also a retiree from District 300. She retired in 2001, where she served at Dundee Highlands in Newbert and was a teacher for us for 28 years. So I ask that everyone in the room please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Board announcements. Any comments, updates, questions, topics from board members? Okay.
Who's not on Saturday? That's my comment.
Superintendent.
Madam President, through the chair, this evening there are no superintendent report presentations, much to your disappointment. But we do have quite a bit of good news to share this evening. And so I will begin. There are other topics that will be up for discussion, as I'm sure. But again, this evening we will begin with good news. I'd like to begin with Dundee Crown Students Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year celebration that happened last week. And Tony Guevara Jr., a senior at Dundee Crown High School, was recently selected to receive the 2017 Youth of the Year Award, the Boys and Girls Club highest honor. The award includes a $10,000 scholarship, and I continue to be impressed and appreciative of all that Boys and Girls Club continues to contribute to our school district and our community. Tony will now travel to Bloomington this spring to compete for the state title against winners from 26 other local Boys and Girls Club chapters in Illinois. The State Youth of the Year winner will advance to a regional competition with a chance to move on to compete at the national level and also earn an opportunity to visit the White House. In a recent interview with the Daily Herald, Tony was quoted as saying, "The Boys and Girls Club has taught me to become a better person, a better leader, and it has changed my life for the better." After graduation, Tony plans on attending Tribeca Flashpoint College in Chicago, where he will study computer art and design.
What's the criteria that they're up against? I mean, how do they judge them?
It's a matter of both academic and civic responsibility and other factors that they look at. Last year's celebration was quite extensive as well, and we were very fortunate to have a young lady receive a $10,000 scholarship there. One of the things I should share with the board as part of the good news is we are partnering with the Boys and Girls Club to help them collect and analyze data to determine what impact attendance and participation in Boys and Girls Club is having on those students as compared to their peer group. So we are starting to put that data together, and I'll be sure to share that with you as we will with the Boys and Girls Club. It's not student identifiable data. It's a generalized data, so there's a data share agreement that will have to be put in place as well, but there's no FERPA or any other concerns there. Continuing on with D300 good news, many of you were in attendance last night, if not all of you were in attendance last night, at the Jacobs High School basketball super sectional game. I want to again personally congratulate our young men, coaches, and everyone else who helped support them. Talk about a true season. They went largely undefeated except for the two games. The two teams that played last night, and I always mispronounce the other school's name, Frem, thank you. Their combined record going into last night's game was 60-1, which is quite impressive. And there was a great defensive game played. We were in it the entire way. And if you have to lose a championship game like that, you lose by 1 point with the buzzer going off at the end of the game. It was amazing in the first overtime session. Great game, great competitive spirit. Our gentlemen were true scholars and true athletes and truly respectful, truly sportsmanlike in their conduct after the loss. I also want to congratulate our fans. I will tell you, I've been in a number of districts, a number of school settings. I have never seen student sections with the level of spirit and passion as our schools have. And they all share that. And I tell you, that student section and the fact that our administrators, Barb Valley, stands right in the midst of them, and she participates and engages them, and it's positive, and it's just an amazing aspect that we contribute to the game. And we're starting to see more and more schools replicate that. You saw some of that last night. But kudos to these young men. They've never won a sectional before. A lot of pressure, went in, played their hearts out, and as far as we're concerned, they're still champions in our eyes, and they always will be. So kudos to them. I don't know if anybody from the board wants to add to that.
I would like to, they actually won the sectional and they lost the super sectional.
Yes.
Correct.
Or as some people call it, the Elite Eight, I think, which is pretty cool. But I would just like to say that when I was living in Rockford, I had a child that went to Boylan High School, and if anybody know about boys basketball, Boylan was a powerhouse and still is. And I used to go to all those games, and I felt very much like I was back in that kind of an arena, because when I went into the Sears Center last night, I swear there were 5 blocks long of people, about 4 abreast,
They were.
standing in line for tickets, and it was sold out. And selling out a high school basketball game is pretty cool. And it was a great game, heartbreaking loss, but as Mr. Hyde said, we were in it all the way till the very end. And it was a wonderful thing, and I'm very disappointed I don't see any other Jacob shirts here tonight. So,
Well, some of us were so busy cheering that they got dirty last night.
You know, it was a great season. I'm real proud of these young men and the coaches. They played their hearts out all year. You can just see it in their record. And I think my sense is that they're ready to take it to a new level. You know, we've had now some really great history started by Coach Hinkle and now by Coach Robertson. And it's become a basketball program, which we really didn't have at Jacobs for a long time. So really proud of the program itself. And they were just so close to going down the state. And you're right. I mean, it was just a tip away. It was literally an inch from going in. So hats off to Frem. They played very well. They played very hard. I think they were outmatched from a personnel standpoint, but they played hard.
Yeah, at one point I asked my wife to make sure the defibrillator was out in the hallway because it was.
So,
We didn't sit the entire game.
because at one point I'm sitting next to Mr. Stevens and I'm pulling out my Fitbit and I said, "Look at my heart rate, 115."
You got steps in without even trying.
No, I was just there. So, okay, watching the heart rate going up and down, just watching, it was phenomenal. It was.
So we also have the D300 basketball all-star team. So District 300, obviously we're proud to announce that 12 of our varsity players have been selected to play in the McHenry County All-Star basketball games. Congratulations first to our girls basketball all-stars, which include Allison Michels, thank you, from Dundee Crown, Paige Gieske from Dundee Crown, Carly Seidor from Jacobs, Maggie Grady from Jacobs, Rachel Dumlin from Hampshire, Maggie Goad from Hampshire. The girls' all-star team will be coached by Dundee Crown's coach, Sarah Miller. I'd also like to congratulate our boys' basketball all-stars, including Cameron Krutwig from Jacobs, Mason Materna from Jacobs, Cooper Schwartz from Jacobs, Joe Hogel from Jacobs, Tariq Burns from Dundee Crown, and Germani Del Santo from Dundee Crown as well. Also, huge shout out to Rachel Dumlin for her performance, and she won the three-point showdown. At the McHenry County Player All-Star Rachel Dumlin, won the 2017 IHSA Class 4A three-point showdown at Illinois State University. Rachel made 11 of her 15 three-point attempts. We could have used that last night, and won a tiebreaker shootout to advance to the final round of Queen of the Hill three-point competition, where she placed third overall against competitors from varying classes. And she will, as many of our athletes will, be attending an upcoming board meeting. The boys all-star team was also, going back to that, will be coached by Jimmy Roberts. Both the boys and the girls all-star games will be played on April 9th at Alden Hebron High School in Hebron, Illinois. The girls' game tip-off, it will be at 2 p.m., and the boys' game will start at 5 p.m. Moving on, also the Dundee Crown and Jacobs three-point showdown athletes. Dundee Crown's Jack Ornthal and Jacob High School's Joe Hogel will both compete in the IHSA Class 4A three-point showdown on March 16th at the Peoria Civic Center. We obviously want to wish both young men the best of luck, and we will provide an update on how they performed on social media and at our next board meeting. Also this evening, we want to celebrate the Jacobs Girls Special Olympics basketball team and the fact that they now qualify to go on to state. Again, congratulations to our Girls Special Olympics basketball team who are headed to state competition in Illinois at Illinois Wesleyan on March 19th. This is the second consecutive year that our Jacobs Girls Special Olympics team will compete at the state level. Congratulations to their coach, Jim Blasek, for all of his hard work. You will recall him. He attends several of our meetings where we recognize him, and he and his team will attend an upcoming board meeting again for additional recognition. Dundee Crown High School will be hosting the Relay for Life on Friday, April 7th. District 300 wants to continue to invite all staff, students, parents, and community members to participate in our 7th annual Relay for Life event being held this year at Dundee Crown High School on Friday, April 7th, beginning at 6 p.m. Relay for Life is a 24-hour overnight walk to raise funds supporting the American Cancer Society's mission to fight cancer through research, education, advocacy, and patient services. Participants individually create campsites filled with food, games, and family-friendly activities while taking turns walking the track to symbolize how cancer never sleeps. Relay for Life offers the opportunity to celebrate individuals fighting cancer, remember loved ones who have lost their battle, and fight back to create a world with less cancer and more birthdays. Interested participants can learn more information and register for Relay for Life at www.d300.org/relay. The 24-hour musical. It's been a busy few weeks since our last board meeting. Last week, Jacobs High School hosted an incredibly successful 24-hour musical event called Camp Rock. Over 90 students, many without any musical or theater background, participated in the production. Although that was not evident in the performance, I want to make sure I clarify that. These students really put a lot of hard work and effort into this program. As part of this 24-hour process, students receive information about their role on Friday evening, and then they have 24 hours to learn lines and songs, decorate their sets, assemble costumes, and learn choreography before the Saturday performance. The talent and hard work of the cast, crew, pit, teacher, chaperones, and volunteers was simply overwhelming. Over 600 people attended the performance, and the 24-hour musical raised its highest amount ever, raising over $10,000 for Turning Point of Woodstock, a domestic violence agency with a mission to confront violence against women and children in the country. Notably, the 24-hour musical was coordinated by the student director at Jacobs Senior, Stephanie Fiorentino. Stephanie has been involved in fundraising for Turning Point since the age of 8, where she ran a lemonade stand to help Turning Point open its new facility. On March 3rd, Kane County Institute Day, District 3 hosted our Kane County Institute Day for Professional Development, offering nearly 1,000 attendees robust professional development opportunities. Kane County Institute Day provided staff with the opportunity to select from a variety of educational sessions taught and instructed primarily by their peers on restorative practices, reading strategies for specific learning disabled students, building, bonding, and brain breaks, and a keynote presentation from Roberto and Luis Hernandez, who were on the show Biggest Loser, okay. Not a show I watch. Coordinating an event of this scale is an incredibly difficult thing to manage, and kudos to our very own Lindsay Jonas Director of Professional Development, on her outstanding work in pulling this off. I would like to thank her again for all of her hard work in making not only Kane County Institute such a huge success, but also making our district a shining star in the region for hosting professional development and learning opportunities for everyone. So thank you. And that concludes the good news for the evening.
Okay, moving
A lot
on.
of good news.
It's a good thing.
Public participation, we have 2 persons that have signed up. I'll call you one at a time. Please come up to the podium. Please state your name, address, your relationship to District 300. You must be 18 or have a parent, legal guardian present with you to address the board. Please told you about giving your full name. Please limit your presentation to 5 minutes, and the board respectfully reserves the right to adjust this time period depending on the number of participants. We only have 2, so you each have 5 minutes. And you're not to mention names of specific staff members or students. The board will listen to and consider your comments, but we do not dialogue in this forum. So the first person that has signed up is Mr. Mike Tennis. Good evening, Mr. Tennis. If you want to, is this? Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you regarding.
I'm sorry, I need you to state your name and your address, and then before
Again,
you
my
get
name
too
is-
far into it.
My name is Mike Tennis. I live at 303 Churchill Court in Sleepy Hollow. Thank you again for the opportunity to address you regarding a proposed TIF for a 185-acre residential and commercial development. The property is within District 300 boundaries at the northwest corner of Route 59 and 72, known as the Plum Farm property. The residential portion proposes 1,035 units and up to 1,800 students to be educated primarily by D300 and to a lesser extent by Barrington District 220. Developer 5A7 LLC, led by Anthony A. Torola, is seeking $21 million in property tax reimbursement over 23 years from Hoffman Estates via a TIF. The project could substantially impact these 2 school districts. A joint review board meeting seeking approval for the TIF occurred February 21st. Because of opposition by school officials, as well as others, including myself, the meeting was scheduled to continue March 7th. Further action by the joint review board was deferred to allow school officials to meet informally in a closed-door session with the developer on February 28th. Simply stated, a Cook County developer wants a Kane County school system to pay for the lion's share of the costs to educate children that occupy this developer's Cook County project. Why should we? In Sleepy Hollow, 25% of the residents are owned by seniors living on fixed incomes. Why burden us for the next 23 years paying for kids from another county to get an education? When the Joint Review Board reconvened March 7th, school district officials were not in attendance. No action was taken at the meeting other than approving minutes from the first session and to schedule a continuance on March 21st. Hoffman Estates village manager indicated no action would be taken pending an intergovernmental agreement with the school district, which is item 12.3 on your agenda this evening. Hearing a plea for transparency at the February meeting from our superintendent, I come before you as a D300 taxpayer this evening with the same request for transparency. Where are we on this matter? What are the key elements of agreement and dispute between the developer and D300 for an IGA? What course of action are you contemplating to protect D300 taxpayers if proposed IGA terms are unacceptable? State law allows up to 40% of TIF funds be directed to schools. Will the 2 school districts realize maximum allowed by law? What portion goes to 300 versus 220? as D300 negotiated for priority claim status on the assets of the developer's partnership in the event the project goes into bankruptcy during the 23-year period of the TIF. In the IGA, given the partnership structure of the development, has D300 secured pledges on the personal assets of the partners. Those pledges could provide a source of funding to help pay for ongoing education obligations in the event of bankruptcy. Barrington is considering changing attendance boundaries for the large influx of students, possibly within 2 to 3 years. Is this board expecting to change boundaries within the next year to begin shifting students to accommodate up to 1,800 students from the proposed development? Your transparency would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. The next person is Jacqueline, and I cannot pronounce your last name, from Hampshire. Please state your name, if you want to spell your last name for me as well, and your address, please.
All right, my name is Jacqueline Gierman. It's Gierman, and I live at 701 Marcello Drive, Hampshire.
Okay.
I'm coming to talk to you tonight because I know the district is recommending that you guys go with a different provider for your athletic training services. I am the current athletic trainer at Hampshire High School. I have been a certified athletic trainer since 2002. I received my undergraduate degree from Western Illinois University and my master's degree from Western Michigan. I have worked as a high school athletic trainer in Michigan, Colorado, and Illinois. I started my employment with Athletico in 2005, and soon after I realized that I was working for an amazing company. This past summer, I made the decision to apply for the open position at Hampshire High School. I was at Lake Park High School for 10 years. I've been a member of the community since 2007. I lived in Pingree Grove first, and then we just built a home in Hampshire. My husband works for the community, and we have 2 little boys that are going to be future whippers. I looked at this as an opportunity to give back to my community, the one I care about. The students and many staff members at Hampshire are my neighbors, and because of this, I really truly care about the high level of medical care provided at Hampshire High School, and I'm really proud that I get to be a part of that. During my first 3 months at Hampshire, I improved the amount of water accessible to the athletes. I took on the position of preceptor for NIU, and I currently take on their students, and they learn from me. I have had the Huntley Athletico out to host an Athletico night. We gave away a signed Jimmy Butler jersey for free. Most importantly, though, with the district office, I worked to improve their concussion protocol. I supplied information regarding a return to play policy, and I found a physician to be part of the oversight team. I have continued throughout the school year to bring more to the school. I do a hip strengthening program for all the boys and girls track teams. I have had a Gatorade week where all the athletes got to sample Gatorade and learn about nutrition. I've had Athletico come out and talk about overuse injuries to all spring athletes. I haven't even finished my first year at Hampshire, and I still have so much more to offer, such as ACL prevention, proper throwing mechanics, proper running mechanics, and a nutrition lecture. This is the standard, though, of what an Athletico athletic trainer provides. Every single one of us offers multiple programs and improvements to the athletic programs at our affiliates. Athletico aims to provide a strong relationship with each affiliate. We are a company that likes to be part of the community and give back through various efforts, which is decided by each athletic trainer and what they feel would work best. You have wonderful athletic trainers, Casey Pollock at Jacobs and Morgan Lederman at Dundee Crown. We are a team. We work together to create unity and to provide the district with consistency. We are working on ideas to help us and our surrounding Athletico clinics give back to the communities of District 300. I also would like to take a moment to point out that Athletico does have a low turnover rate of athletic trainers, and I know that at both Jacobs and at Dundee Crown, they have had multiple athletic trainers in the past, and they finally have had the same ones for a few years. Ortho Illinois provides the medical care at Hampshire High School. They are there for home football games as well as a resource to our athletes for follow-up care, giving them priority appointments and working with whatever insurances they have. John Moore is our PA from this group, and I promise you, you could not ask for a better guy. John, like me, is a member of the Hampshire community. He deeply cares about the athletes that he tends to. He is always just a phone call away, and because he is invested at Hampshire, he is open to stopping over whenever I need him to. Ortho Illinois also employs Dr. Pradeep Raju, who is the lead physician on the district's concussion oversight team. I know again that I can turn to him for anything and to see any of our athletes with concussions. Both Dundee Crown and Jacobs have two wonderful team physicians from Midwest Bone and Joint, Dr. Elpert and Dr. Kogan. Dr. Kogan has been working at Jacobs High School for 20 plus years. He has been a consistent face for the athletic program there and the go-to physician for injuries that occur. Dr. Elpert brings top-of-the-line care to his athletes at Dundee Crown. He goes above and beyond because he knows that he is making a difference for those athletes. Dr. Elpert is also the team physician for two other schools, all with athletic trainers. Midwest Bone and Joint is a medical practice that does so much for their schools and are deeply invested in the well-being of those athletes. I know by now that you've received a number of emails and letters speaking on our behalf. These are people that we impact on a daily basis. And I am aware that most of you guys don't know who we are or what we do every day or what we bring to the high schools that we work in. But I ask that after you've taken the opportunity to read those letters, to ask yourselves, do you feel that we are doing enough, that you are pleased with our services and you are pleased with the athletic trainers? I hope that now that you have a little more information and you can see the impact that Athletico is making at your high schools, make a informed decision. Being an Athletico employee always means having support, always having the resources you need to be successful, and always providing the best care from prevention to return to play. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we did have one modification. I have a third person sign up to address us. Laura Prowitz, if you want to
Yes, ma'am.
approach. And please state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Laura Prowitz. I live at 45W115 Kelly Road in Hampshire. I've been there since 2005.
Whoa. 45.
W. I speak very quickly. I apologize.
I don't write as quickly as you
115
speak.
Kelly Road,
Thank you.
Hampshire.
Okay.
My name is Laura Prowitz. My family lives in District 300. Two of our children graduated from high school here, and one is still in school. We feel that the district has given our kids great educations for the taxpayer investment that we have contributed, and for that we're grateful. However, it seems some activities at the schools are veering into the realms of political editorializing in the classroom and general social justice messaging. I also have concerns about the school district-sponsored informational sessions for illegal immigrants on school grounds. I believe these things are distracting from the main mission of providing quality education to the community's children. An example of the classroom editorializing. Last semester, as part of a fake news discussion in a social studies class, our son was told that Breitbart News, the #1 and fastest growing media outlet today, is helmed and read by white supremacists and Nazis. Imagine my child's surprise at being told his mother is a white supremacist and a Nazi. The irony of fake news being used by the teacher as part of a discussion about fake news was almost too rich to believe. Frankly, I was shocked. I don't believe I'm the only one with the opinion that such highly volatile political rhetoric has no place in the classroom and should stop. An example of social justice messaging. 2 weeks ago, my son came home to explain that he and his schoolmates were herded into a presentation on racial sensitivity. Why is school time being used to attend a mandatory session on a topic irrelevant to classroom studies, but instead appears to squarely fall into the category of social justice propaganda? These types of sessions should be advertised in advance with a full written agenda and an opt-out option for parents who prefer their child not attend. Finally, the advertised sessions about illegal immigration hosted by the school district. First, the message I see around these sessions is that it's okay to do something that works around the law if you feel you can justify it or have good intent. That's a bad message and the wrong message for students. I don't think I'm alone in my assessment. Second, based on my reading of the short parts of U.S. immigration law, I saw answers to questions asked at the session at Perry Elementary School last week that seemed to put District 300 on the wrong side of that law. I understand that laws are subject to interpretation, but my question is this: why is the school district participating in something that could be remotely interpreted as illegal? Contrast with a similar session held 2 weeks ago by the Elgin Police Department. According to the Daily Herald, they had ICE present to answer or decline to answer questions that walked the legal line. Specifically, many of the questions answered at the district's Perry School session were declined by ICE at the Elgin PD session. Does that mean some questions answered by District 300 crossed a legal line? But whether the school district broke federal law that night is not the point. The point is, why is it putting itself in the position to be questioned about whether it did or didn't? Illegal immigration and federal laws pertaining to it are not the core competencies of the school district. The school district should stay out of it. Or if they decide to hold more of these sessions, they should work with local law enforcement and have ICE representation available to remove any doubt about the legality of what it is doing. The district has a responsibility to the taxpayers of this community to not take unnecessary legal risk that may result in litigation for which taxpayers will then be responsible, and the funds for which could be better spent. This action could result in robbing kids of programs, upgraded gyms, and new computers. Summarizing, the taxpayers of this community support the school system. We have a right to expect the schools to be a reflection of the views of the entire community, not just the ideological side with which the majority of the employees of the district may be aligned. We expect that District 300 will represent all of our viewpoints in formulating curriculum, activities, and policies going forward. I will be filing formal complaints via the district's grievance procedure regarding these issues. I hope others in the District 300 feel similarly will do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Great, that concludes public participation. Moving on. Any legislative update?
Just a couple of them that I'll mention. There's a couple of bills that are, okay? Okay. There's a lot going on right now, both in Springfield and in Washington. The one that I had talked with Mr. Hyde about is this, there are two bills, one in the House, one in the Senate, House Bill 3377 and Senate Bill 1431, which are requirements for all school buses to have 3-point seat belts put in. It's another unfunded mandate. We've, talked to Springfield before about, the funding's not there for what we have, let alone what we don't have. With talking with Mr. Hyde, we did discuss it, and this would be absorbed primarily through Durham as our bus service provider. However, I think down the road, it would affect us when we come up for contract. So that's something that we're following. Mr. Hyde, did you have anything you wanted to?
Is that all age levels? Busing for
All.
All buses.
All buses.
Our understanding is it would be phased in over time, and while that cost wouldn't, it'd be an indirect cost to the district as part of our contract with Durham, since we don't own the large share, proportionate share of our buses. We're still waiting on clarification to make sure that that would be something that, as new buses were procured, they would be added. Districts, by and large, outside of just the cost and the fact that it's an unfunded mandate, do have concerns with any liability, because just because there is a seatbelt, there becomes an expectation that who's going to monitor children to make sure they're all belted in. So there are a number of issues with the bill. I think in general, opposition from the Illinois School Boards Association speaks very clearly to the fact that the number of research studies from IDOT and others indicate that by and large that is not the area of concern. It's the area surrounding the bus at stops and points of entry, not during actual routing time. So there are a number of issues with that bill in particular. It'll be interesting to see where it ends up.
On top of that, at the state level, I know that the Senate had an education committee that was working on different funding options. From Governor Rauner picked both Democrat and Republicans to work on some possible solutions. The solutions that they came up with, well, they didn't come up with solutions. They just kind of came up with their ideas for how education should be funded, but there were no solutions. So recently, Speaker Madigan has now gathered together his group, another group, that is going to continue that work. So they're going to take the work that the first committee did, because it was bipartisan, pulled together, And they're now going to be working on solutions to that. Whose guess? It's, you know, it's an ongoing, who's going to come up with the solution finally. So I don't know what's going to come of that, but I'll kind of look into that a little bit more, and I'll let you know. Do you know anything more about that?
I do not at this time.
Okay. And then as far as federally, the only thing I would mention is House Resolution 610, which is the Choices in Education Act of 2017, which is kind of floating around right now. It repeals the ESEA, Secondary Education Act of 1965, and it creates a voucher program. It also repeals No Hungry Kids Act, so it's all over the media. I don't know if it's going to get any teeth and actually go anywhere, but it's definitely something to look out for. That's all.
Okay. Okay. All right. Moving on. Item number 11, consent items less than 25,000. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Stevens. Aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, roll call items. I'm looking off of my cheat sheet here, so it might be a little bit different than what we have online. So just keep me in line here. 12.1, resolution providing the issue of not to exceed $47,500,000 general obligation refunding school bonds series 2017 for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of the district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the execution of a bond purchase agreement with William Blair and Company, LLC, in connection with the proposed sale of said bonds. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to make sure that everybody understands that this is being done to save money. We're not issuing new bonds to get money. We're actually doing this to save money, taking advantage of the lower interest rates that are, at least right now, currently available.
Yeah, it's equivalent to what we've done each year. As long as lower interest rates are still available compared to our old bond rates, we'll take advantage of it while we still can.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Only that as you go through 12.2 and 12.3 are all related to the same thing.
All legal requirements
Just
to
a
process a
formality.
sale.
Well, 12.2 is 12.3, I think, is different.
Not 12-3.
I'm sorry.
You have to.
12.2.
Okay. All right, Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Alessio, aye. Stevens.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item 12.2, resolution authorizing and directing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection with the issue of not to exceed $47,500,000 general obligation refunding school bonds series 2017. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or comments? Okay, Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Alessio, aye. Stevens.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item 12.3, motion to direct the school district to represent the district, motion to direct administration to represent the district in negotiations with the Village of Hoffman Estate in regard to the current TIF that Mr. Tennis alluded to protect our financial and student interests. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, updates on this?
Only to clarify, that this is only for just authorizing negotiation. Any approval would come back to us before anything was done.
And to Mr. Tennis's comments, everything that you said in there, we are addressing. We need to be giving authority to our administration to be able to talk with people to find out exactly what is going on, what is happening. Do we recoup the 40%? What are those parameters of what they're looking at? We don't have anything more than that to report because we need to give our administrators the opportunity now to be able to go and have those negotiations. What does come out of that will be brought to the board and will be discussed, and there will be a transparency level with that. Mr. Hyde?
If I may, Madam President, and just to kind of elaborate a little further, because there were questions presented this evening, we do walk hand in hand with Barrington on this issue. We are not negotiating separately. This is a mutual interest of both districts because there's a significant impact. I can provide an assurance that we will accept no less than the mandatory state limitations, although we are actually and aggressively calculating our numbers because we realize that there are both operational and capital costs to the district based on projected enrollments and the impacts. So those are the issues that we carry forward, again, in partnership with Barrington. And the district will continue to pursue its options. I think we were very clear in our displeasure at the first meeting with the lack of information. We continue to have some concern over the fluidity of the proposed plan that's been submitted, but we are entering in good faith, and should we reach a point where we feel that we have reached the terms that would protect our interests as a community, or we feel that we cannot, that will be brought back to the board. We were seeking approval this evening to be able to enter that in an appropriate and proper manner.
Mr. Stevens?
I also think that we need to all recognize that no matter what the Joint Review Board does, if they all vote no, the only thing that does is require a supermajority of approval at the village board level. So the entire Joint Review Board could vote no, the village could still vote yes, and we have it, whether we like it or not. So I would encourage you, if you have strong concerns, to also be voicing those concerns to the Hoffman Estates Village Board, who has the final say.
Okay, any other comments or questions, board members? Okay, Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Stevens? Aye. Garcia?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Burley?
Aye.
Fiorentino?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Item 12.4, approval of alternative education program grants. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Garcia?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Fiorentino?
Aye.
Burley?
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Miller?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12.5, approval of the NIA services contract. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or comments? Okay, Mr. Alessio.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Burley?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Fiorentino?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item 12.6, approval of the athletic training services RFP. Motion to approve.
So move.
Second. Discussion. Ms. Garcia.
I would like to thank the trainer from Athletico for appearing tonight. I believe everyone has a right to be heard. If they choose to come before the board to be heard, regardless of processes or decisions or recommendations. So I thank you for coming. I struggled with this issue tonight because I think that the quality of care is high that Athletico has provided, and that clearly you are beloved in your community. So please, regardless of what happens with any of this, know that Hampshire is behind you. And that being said, there are processes, and so I guess I just wanted to say, please know that I have listened and I have read and I have heard, and appreciate you coming tonight, and that we care about these decisions very, very strongly.
Mr. Stevens.
I would just like to say that it's also my understanding that the other two high schools' athletic trainers have been employed by the prospective new company. and that could be an option. You're saying no? I've heard that.
I don't. No.
Okay, I will look further into that. I thought that was an option. But what I do want to say is that our finance committee, which is a committee that goes through, has looked in depth at this issue, not from a standpoint of evaluating vendors, but from a standpoint of validating that the process that we're going through was fair and appropriate. When I looked at the timeline that was supplied to us of what occurred when, there were multiple meetings where explanations were heard, where concerns were heard. It was such a difficult decision that it was delayed coming to the board for a month so that it could be reviewed again. And I just have to say that from the school district standpoint, and I understand this affects you personally, and I'm aware of that. The process that was followed was fair and equitable, and therefore I have to support it.
Any other board members, questions or comments? Mr.
Yeah,
Fiorentino?
thank you to the athletic trainers, teachers, and also the physicians that wrote to us. Like Ms. Garcia stated, I read all that information, and I followed up with a few discussions, talking to one of the physicians. And really, I came at it as a past healthcare provider myself, and I wanted to understand, because we do have a very thorough RFP process, and I feel that it for most things does a great job of sifting out and creates that situation of fairness in getting the best service for our dollar. So I asked, what will the switch enhance or detract from our patient care or safety of our students? And really, what organization makes us better? We've been very happy as a district with Accelerated and then Athletic Go when they made the transition, and so we get that. In talking to especially one of the physicians that's been with us for quite a few years, he felt like there would be an initial loss, but he felt like from a patient care aspect, which is really was most important to me, because we were trying to fit a patient care into a algorithm that included things like contracted price, quality or perception of quality of service, which is very difficult to do in the healthcare arena. But all in all, after I sifted through this over the last few days, and I asked a lot of questions of the administrative team, the board finance committee, I felt very good about what our process was, and a very difficult and a challenging decision. So I thank everybody for that, and I again thank everybody for writing those letters and taking phone calls.
Mr. Stevens.
I also would like to add that what's happened here is that the board has requested of the administration to not just roll contracts over, but to bid them, because we're spending public funds. And so the reason this happened was a direct result of the board directive that took place some time ago. So
I would also like to point out that along the lines of what my colleagues have noted, this process was extended in order to give enough time to review the bids, and this was not just a matter of pricing. Correct. Too many times we look at contracts and it's, well, we take the lowest bid. And in this situation, there were other steps that were taken. There were personal interviews that were done, and gradings and charting that came down to making the recommendation that it is today. And as Mr. Stevens pointed out, the Finance Committee, both in February and in March, reviewed the contracts and held the interviews. To Ms. Garcia's point, it's not easy all the time for people to come and talk to us, especially talk to us from your heart, and knowing that action that we may be taking here may be adverse to you. And I try to not get into the attorney role, but part of me wants to say, take your comments to your employer, because if your employer can make a better bid package, who knows what's going to happen when this comes back around again. Now that they know what the process is and what they're up against and what we're looking for, talk with them and have them put together a better package, more competitive. Ms. Lopez.
When I first got elected to the school board, I thought it was all going to be about education. And I found out very quickly that it's about a lot of things, including finance. And that's what makes sitting on a board, being a public servant, very difficult. When I see somebody from my own community that's job is in jeopardy because of a decision that we have to make, it really hurts me to the core. I hate doing that. But yet I have to serve the public and the community and the people who elected me. And I wasn't elected just from Hampshire. I was elected from the entire school district. When we get into situations with other governments, for example, Hoffman Estates, this is where being a public servant is extremely difficult because there's so much behind the scenes work that has to go on, and I really admire our administration and what they do and how hard they work. And I can say after being on the school board for, 10 years, I feel our school district is in very good hands now. But I just want you to know, those of you that are sitting here and thinking, why do you do it that way? There's so much else going on behind the scenes. And boy, did I learn that when I became a school board member.
You know, and I want to point out that usually board members don't get involved as detailed as this, but we're not always contacted individually either. And so board members do have that fiduciary role to make sure and to be the checks and balances. Is our process working the way it's supposed to be? And then when we have several different board members, you know, several out of 7, being contacted and then contacting administration and getting the same responses and finding out that there was not a leak in the system, our protocols were followed, that they do work, then we're faced with making our individual vote on how we decide on a specific item. So normally board members aren't contacted. We don't normally get into this, but when we are, we feel that it is our duty to check to make sure, you know, was everything properly followed. And I think listening to Mr. Fiorentino and Mr. Stevens talking about what they found in reviewing based on all of the contact information that we had, the process did. And in the past, maybe it didn't always. Maybe it didn't always. But right now, that's part of what our job is. Mr. Stevens.
If I could use this moment also to maybe put in a plug, committee meetings are where a lot of the detail work is done. And they're almost never attended by anyone outside of the committee members. That's where the work is done. That's where the discussions take place, and those then become advisory to the full board to act on. But I would really think if you want to know what's going on in the school district, committee meetings are where the background work takes place.
All those meetings are posted. The agendas are posted. This topic was listed on the agenda as it was also listed in the minutes from those meetings. So this isn't the first time that the board has seen this.
And I know these are recorded, but I have to tell you why I snickered. This is because Mr. Stevens leaned over and said to me, it's because of all the big bucks we make being on the school board, which is a farce because we get paid absolutely nothing. This is all volunteer.
Wait, we don't get paid?
Kim, we were going to let you know that eventually. You know, the state budget hasn't come through, so we could let you think, yeah.
There's never a check.
Okay, any other comments? All right, Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Stevens. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12.7, approval of E-rate RFP cellular infrastructure category 2 wiring and switching wireless access and internet services. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second. Okay.
Yeah, any discussion? Hey, Mr. Alessio?
Lopez.
Aye.
Stevens. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
If I may, there was a board member who inquired as to the timeliness of the E-rate distribution, and it does typically occur sometime after July. It depends on federal funding allocation, their timeline, but typically it's a July moving forward date.
Knowing the status of federal finances, are we in danger of that going away?
No, E-rate's a separate funding source. This is unrelated to HR 610, which would basically consolidate federal program grants into a block grant. Not necessarily a bad thing, but there are some other restrictions and mandates that come with that from the federal level. And it'll be a complicated issue for some states because several states have already deemed some of those requirements to be unconstitutional. So there will more than likely be some additional legal challenges at the federal level.
That mean they hold up our money until the legal challenges are...
Typically, yes, ma'am, that is typically the case.
Okay, moving on. Item 12.8, approval of time tracking software upgrade services RFP. Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Comments? Please call the roll.
Garcia.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Lopez. Stevens. Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12.9, approval of building addition flooring bid. Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Stevens. Aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12.11, approval of driver's ed security vehicle bid.
Second.
12-10.
Oh, I'm sorry. 12.10, approval of doors and hardware, HLS bid.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Garcia.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Miller.
Aye.
Stevens. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Fiorentino. Burley.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12.11, approval of driver's ed security vehicle bid. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Mr. Alessio?
Burley.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Stevens. Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12.12, approval of gym divider curtain bid. Motion to approve? Second. Discussion?
Yes, can you tell me, have conversations taken place with the Park District yet about participating?
At this time, we have not, Mr.
Will
Stevens.
happen?
Yes, sir.
Participating in...
Payment.
Because
This year, June.
Oh, they, got it.
For some of our elementaries during our boom years, most recently, we signed intergovernmental agreements with some of our park and recs departments to boom years. When we were building as fast as you could.
A long time ago.
We had intergovernmental agreements with some of our parks districts to share space, so the request came that we speak with them about the possibility of having a mutual cost or share in the costs.
Okay, call the roll.
Garcia.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Burley.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
12.13, approval of the mulch bid. Motion to approve.
So moved. I love that.
Discussion? Okay, Mr. Alessio?
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Stevens. Aye. Alessio, aye. Motion passes 7-0.
12.14, approval of the roofing work bid. Motion to, second. Okay, any discussion?
Yes, I would just like to say that when Mrs. Parkin joined the district, one of the charges that we asked her to take care of was to put us on a preventative maintenance plan so that we didn't have all these capital expenses hit us without anticipation. And these roofing bids are in keeping with that, and were anticipated and planned for and validated through roof inspection. So the plan that she has put together is working and working
Any other comments, questions? Great, Mr. Alessio?
Stevens? Aye. Alessio, aye. Miller?
Aye.
Burley?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Fiorentino?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
12:15, approval of textbook adoption 9 through 12 English language arts, 9 through 12 chemistry and physics, and 9-12 advanced placement selections.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Books are still going to be in vogue?
To a certain extent, yes, ma'am. We will still have a footprint with traditional textbooks, but by and large, we were looking for the digital content. Yes, ma'am. We must have some print materials for various reasons. Some are discipline related, others are dependent on student need.
Call the roll, please.
Lopez?
Aye.
Burley?
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Stevens? Aye. Miller?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Fiorentino?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, guys, these are the long ones. 12:16. This will be the approval of non-renewal of non-tenured staff. I have to read this resolution. Yes. Community Unit School District Number 300, resolution authorizing notice of dismissal to non-tenured teachers. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of School District Number 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that this Board of Education, pursuant to Section 5-24-11 of the Illinois School Code, hereby determines that those teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1 attached hereto and made a part hereof shall not be reemployed for the following school term and are hereby dismissed as teachers of the school district effective at the end of the present 2016-2017 school term. Section 2, that the President and Secretary of this Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give the persons enumerated on Exhibit 1 by personal service, certified mail, and return receipt requested a notice of this board's decision to dismiss those teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1 at the end of the present school term, which notice shall be substantiated in the form of Exhibit 2, attached hereto and made a part hereof. Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption. Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Garcia?
Aye.
Burley?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Fiorentino?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item 12:17, this is approval of non-renewal of fourth-year teacher. Community Unit School District Number 300, resolution authorizing notice of dismissal to a fourth-year teacher lacking proper certification. Whereas the Board of Education, the Board of Community Unit School District 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, the district, has received reports and recommendations from members of the administration concerning a fourth-year teacher, and whereas the Board of Education is prohibited by law from employing certain teachers who lack proper certification, now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300 as follows. Section 1, that this Board of Education, pursuant to Section 5-24-11 of the Illinois School Code, hereby determines that Carmen Hernandez, a fourth-year teacher, is hereby dismissed as an employee of the Board effective at the end of the present 2016-2017 school term for the reasons stated in Exhibit 1 attached hereto and made a part hereof. Section 2, that the President and Secretary of this Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give to such teacher by personal service, certified mail, and return receipt requested a written notice of this Board's decision to dismiss Carmen Hernandez effective at the end of the present school term, which notice shall be substantiated in the form of Exhibit 1 attached hereto and made a part hereof. Section 3, that this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Alessio.
Garcia?
Aye.
Stevens? Aye. Alessio, aye. Fiorentino?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Burley?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item 12:18. This is approval of non-renewal for teachers lacking proper certification. Community Unit School District Number 300, resolution authorizing notice of non-renewal to non-tenured teachers lacking proper certification. Whereas the Board of Education is prohibited by law from employing certain teachers who lack proper certification. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of School District Number 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that this Board of Education pursuant to Section 5-24-11 of the Illinois School Code hereby determines that those teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1 attached hereto and made a part hereof shall not be reemployed as teachers in the school district for the next ensuing school term, and accordingly that the present contract of employment of the teacher shall terminate at the close of the present term. Section 2, that the President and Secretary of this Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give to the persons enumerated on Exhibit 1 by personal service, certified mail, and return receipt requested a written notice of this Board's decision to not reemploy those teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1 for the next school term, which notice shall be substantiated in the form of Exhibit 2 attached hereto and made a part hereof. Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect upon and after its adoption. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Alessio.
Burley.
Aye.
Stevens. Aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item 1219, approval of reduction in force. Community Unit School District Number 300, resolution authorizing notice of honorable dismissal to a tenured administrator. Whereas the Board of Education of School District Number 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, has determined to restructure administrative positions employed by the board, and whereas the Board of Education has determined that the administrator hereinafter set forth shall be dismissed at the end of the 2016-2017 school term and not reemployed as an administrator for the 2017-2018 school term pursuant to the Illinois School Code. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of School District Number 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that this Board of Education, pursuant to Section 5-24-12 of the School Code, hereby determines that the Administrator, Joseph Bruzino, is hereby honorably dismissed as an administrator in the school district effective at the close of the present school term for the reason that this board has decided to restructure administrative positions employed by the board. Section 2, that the president and secretary of this Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give by personal service, certified mail, and return receipt requested to Joseph Bruzino and notice of this board's decision to not reemploy said administrator in an administrative position for the next ensuing school term, which shall be substantiated in the form of Exhibit 1 attached hereto and made a part hereof. Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Alessio, aye. Miller.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Lopez. Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Item 1220, motion to approve the HR report.
So moved.
Second.
Just so people know, this was pulled. I'm going to recuse myself from voting on this, not because I don't want to approve it, but because I have a relative who's listed on it.
Okay. Garcia.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Miller.
Present.
Burley.
Aye.
Alessio, aye. Motion passes 6-0-1.
Okay. 13, board discussion. Any further updates from the board committee, finance committee?
I think we covered everything tonight.
Okay. Anything from board construction and facility oversight committee?
At the last Construction Facilities Oversight Committee, the one remaining item for the Northern Kane Educational, or commonly known as the charter school, was a requirement that had a solid surface, meaning either asphalt or poured concrete egress as an emergency exit rather than crushed gravel. I'm very happy to report that we have in our hand letters from NKEC that says that they will comply and put in either a blacktop or poured concrete path and maintain it in winter months. So unless the board objects, Mr. Hyde will be sending out a letter to the Regional Office of Education telling them that we have no problem with those conditions and the approval of the wing that was halted almost, 9 months ago, Mr. Hyde? Wasn't it when we stopped that program?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, sir.
It was last summer.
Last summer. So this is good news. Happy to say that Mrs. Paletta, the CEO out there, has been working very hard to accomplish this, and we appreciate the cooperation that we've received from her, and we're happy that this one is now behind us and they can move forward. Well, with all the other appropriate permits that they have to get.
Ms. Garcia?
So are you suggesting we send a letter saying we're okay with them planning to do this?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, because I didn't understand
It
that.
actually, they started construction without appropriate approval and it was stopped, and it's sitting there until we approve it because it's our charter school.
No, I understand. Thank you. I wanted clarification on what you were asking our approval on. I got it. Thank
Actually,
you.
I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking only if you object, you should speak up.
I might have, which is why I needed clarification.
Okay.
Any other comments, discussion from board members?
Outside of committees?
Yeah, outside of committees on any
Yeah,
topic.
you know, I want to, Mr. Hyde talked a little bit about Camp Rock. I just want to say, I want to say thank you to so many people because the end result was reviewed by Mr. Hyde, and that there were 700 people in the auditorium, and we raised over over $10,000. There was it was good theater. It was, it probably wasn't great theater, but what it was great was community. And I am really proud of the students and the staff for a couple of reasons. One, we had almost 30 staff people volunteer their time all night, and several of them had double shifts, and they loved it. And I was there in the wee hours of the morning, and I watched them, how much they embraced being with the students. It was wonderful. I just, there's so many people that put that all together, and the end result was, and the administration for thinking big. I was down at Rochelle this past week at a high school, and the administrator there, he saw my Camp Rock shirt that I had on, and he said, "What's that about?" And I told him the concept. He said, that's a great thing because it doesn't happen in all schools or all school districts. And he's very right. So kudos to Jacobs, kudos to those great kids. I was very proud as a dad seeing my daughter up there leading that effort. But at the end, it was a collective effort of teachers, custodians, staff, administrators, and the community that came together to raise for an amazing cause. So thank you.
Any other comments, board members? Okay, we are going into close.
My name is Rich Bynum, 728 Surrey Lane. I'd like to hear you all address, you have 3 speakers, you addressed 2 of them, one of them you didn't. The mother was here and addressed concerns about the polarization of the classrooms. Nobody's addressed that. I'd like to, if you want to put it off to the next meeting, please address it.
Thank you for that comment. It is not the board's policy to enter into debate or dialogue with the persons that are speaking. We did have items on our agenda that addressed the other 2 items for the other speakers, and that is why those were discussed as a part of our normal course of business. We also do not discuss whether it is through public participation or individual items that could be potential litigation or potential complaints against the board. With that, I will do a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, negotiations, and litigation. There will be no action to follow.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Alessio, please call the roll.
Aye.
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 Thank you.